What's up everyone? In today's video we're going to unbox and review the AVS by retroUSB. What's up everyone? So today we're going to take a close look at retroUSB's AVS console. Now this is a clone console of the original Nintendo NES system. Anyone who's watching this channel, I'm sure they know either what this is or the original Nintendo. Maybe you haven't heard of this thing, but they've actually had this out for quite a while now. And I picked this up for a couple of reasons. One is I want an easy way to play the NES via HDMI to a modern TV. And I want to be able to easily do game capture via that HDMI cable as well. So I thought this was a good option. Now they've been making these for a good while now, and they're not crazy expensive. This is an FPGA based console, which means that you can play original games and you can play Everdrive cartridges as well, which is great. So it's not like a clone console that you're going to get that's just emulation based, where you're not going to be able to play an Everdrive cartridge or maybe some homebrew games that people had made. But this thing you can. So it's essentially just like a original Nintendo, but it's modernized with HDMI out. Now we see the box here. Got a little bit more details on the back of this thing. And there's a couple options on the market for these. Obviously, like I just said, there's emulated versions that you can get. I didn't want to do that. And then there's the kind of top tier that you can get from Analog. The problem is though, Analog no longer manufactures their NT Mini version, and it's crazy expensive. If you look at them, they're on eBay, they're going for well over $1,000, and I'm not going to spend that much regardless of what it is. I don't care how great it is. So in this case, this is a couple $100. Yeah, it's not cheap, but again, it allows you to play a lot of different things, and it's got HDMI out, which is really what we're wanting. So what we're going to do is we'll take a little closer look at what's inside of here, and then we're going to do some comparisons with this and the original Nintendo that we've got. But here's the box. And I will say I ordered this and I got it 3 days later in the mail. So they've got these readily in stock. I didn't purchase this from eBay or anyway. I bought this directly from retroUSB. I'll put a link in the description in case you're interested in picking one of these up. You see here we've got 720p HDMI video, NTSC and PAL output, NES and Famicom slots, 4-score Pro, cheat code database, Famicom expansion port, and updates through USB. Now this has got 4 connections right on the front for different controllers instead of just the original 2. It's got a door that opens similar to the original NES where you can slide your game in, and it's also got a cartridge slot that we'll take a look at in a minute below this image here of the cartridge, where you can put Famicom games. So that's cool. You can play either of those on here. As you can see down below, we've got the Famicom expansion port, USB, this is for our power, and then the HDMI out. They've even got the official seal of quality. Check that out. So anyhow, let's open this thing up and take a little closer look at it. All right. So we've got what I assume is a manual. Yep, we've got a manual here. Just gives you a brief run through of what this thing is. We've got some cables. So we've got this is a USB. I would assume this is for our power. We'll take a little closer look at that. And we've got our HDMI cable. I'm glad that they include this. So we've got an HDMI cable. And then we've got our power adapter here. And this is good too that this is included. So we've got everything essentially needed to get this thing up and running. Okay, so here's the console, and very reminiscent of the original Nintendo. The colors and everything is very similar. The buttons even look like the original. On the bottom here, they've got indentations like the original had. This thing, I mean, it doesn't have much weight to it, a little bit. It's not bad. It doesn't feel like it's junk and really cheap as some other consoles may have, but it's got a little bit of weight to it, not too much. Then we've got our door on the front here that opens up. Inside we've got the AVS logo. You see we've got our cartridge connector for the NES cartridges, and then we've got our connector down here for the Famicom. Now yeah, it feels okay. I like the colors and everything. I'm not really crazy about the shape of this thing. I don't know about that. I don't know why they didn't just make it straight, but overall, I mean, it feels good. It doesn't feel real cheap, and it looks nice. I do like the color scheme and everything, making it look very similar to the original. All that's good. Just not real crazy about this wedge shape here. But anyhow, we'll try a couple games in this, see how well they fit, and then let's do a side-by-side comparison of how this looks compared to the original Nintendo. All right, you guys, so I've got you positioned right in front so you can see how the game cartridge will slide in. You'll notice there's two ridges that goes along here, and this is so that the cartridge will lay on these ridges and go directly into the port in the back. So I'm just going to slide it in, and then it snaps back. Now that's a little bit of a tight fit whenever you push it in to get it to go in, but it does go directly straight into there without a problem. We close the door closes just fine, and we'll go to open it up and we'll pull it out. There we go. Now they do also have a little indentation here so that you can get your finger up underneath and pull it out. So this is how the original NES cartridge goes in. All right, you guys, now I'll show you how an original Famicom game sits down inside of here. So it's just your typical top loader. Snap it down into place, no problem. Now I will say, with this in here, you know, you can't just close this. I mean, you can lay it down on there, but it looks a little goofy. So that's one thing. Obviously, this is mainly going to be used, I would say in the most case anyway, for people in the US, and they're going to be using NES games, so it's not as big of a deal. But I think a way that they could have done this, maybe make it a little bit taller so that the door would have closed even if they had a Famicom game in here, but whatever. Overall, I think it looks pretty good, and the cartridges fit very snug into here without any issues. All right, you guys, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to compare this, as far as the size goes, to the original NES that we have. All right, so here's the original NES that we have, and then here is the AVS in comparison to size. Obviously, it's not as tall. It's considerably shorter, about half the, well, not quite half the height, but as you can see, the top of it comes up just above the separation in the original case here. As far as the length, that's pretty similar. All right, now here is the length of the new AVS compared to the original Nintendo. It's almost identical, and I'm assuming that's because of that cartridge port that they have set up like the original. They've got to have enough room for the game cartridge, so that's why the length is almost identical. But lengthwise, it's about the same. Here you can see in the front, the width is very similar overall in the front anyways, and this has got this wedge design, but in the front, we're talking about maybe a ½ inch on either side of difference, not much. I don't even know if it's that much, but it's pretty similar. The main difference again is just that this thing isn't as tall. But does that matter? Not really. As long as this thing works, that's what we're shooting for. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test out a few games. We've got Contra we're going to test in the original NES cartridge. Then we're going to test out John Elway's Quarterback, again another original NES cartridge. We're going to test out Quarth. This is a Famicom cartridge. So we're going to test this out and make sure that that Famicom port here for the cartridge is working okay and that we can actually play these games in this console. And then we're going to test out our Everdrive N8 Pro from Krikzz. This is a pretty slick cartridge. If you're familiar with Krikzz, I really like all the products that these guys make, but we're going to test this out as well. Supposedly this will play these because this is an FPGA based console, so we're going to test it out and make sure that this works on this console. All right, and what we're going to try to play this with, all the games, is with our 8BitDo wireless controller. I have no reason to believe that it won't work on here, but we're going to try it just the same and see. We've got our little receiver here. We'll just plug in the front, like so, and we'll see what this thing will do. Again, I have no reason to believe that it won't work, but we're going to try it anyway and see what happens. All right, so you've seen us do the unboxing of this. Now we are going to plug this in to our TV and through our Elgato game capture device and show you guys how this works and looks on a modern TV. All right, you guys, so we've got our AVS console connected, and you are seeing the initial load screen and menu of the AVS console. So you'll notice that there's a number of different options, and as you use your left or right on your directional pad, you can select whatever you'd like. The top option is the one that you're looking at. So whenever you see the words under it, that's where you're at. Like right now, we've got video options. If we move right, we've got input options, etc. One thing I will note on here, so we've got this Game Genie on here, and it's highlighted red. I don't know why they don't have the individual items on here highlighted when you select those instead of just putting the words below it. So I don't know why Game Genie is always going to be red and yellow and nothing else on here. Everything else is just gray. That looks a little off to me. I mean, as far as the menu itself, it's easy to go through and that's fine. I just think that I don't really understand why they've got one little logo on here highlighted and everything else is grayed out. I think the highlighted one should be just whatever you're selecting. It's a little nitpicky, but that's my opinion. So there's different options here. Obviously, this is the Game Genie, so if you've got any cheat codes that you want to enter in for the specific game you're playing, right now we've got John Elway's Quarterback installed. So if you just hit A to go into it, then you can put in your cheat codes for that game. I'm not going to do that, but the point is here you can if you have those codes. Then we got Start the Cartridge, so if you just want to start playing, you can hit your A button and go directly into the game here. We got video options, and then we've got input options. We'll look at the video options here in a second. Input options, so this is for your controller. If you want to change some things around a little bit, you can assign turbo A and off and make these on. So if you're playing a shooter or something and you don't want to be constantly mashing down the button, you can turn these turbos on. Now, the controller that I'm using, this 8-bit DO wireless controller, and it's working great on this console, by the way. No issue there. That was one of the things that I didn't know for sure how it was going to work on here, but it works perfect. There's no problem. But on that controller, I've already got Turbo B and Turbo A on there, so I don't have to mess with this. But it is an option if you need it or want to use it. So I think that's good. And that's what this is. This is to go through and change around different things on your controller. Then if we want to go to the video options, we'll check it out. So at the top we've got video mode. I mean, we're in North America here, so we're going to leave it at NTSC, but you can change it over to PAL if you want. Go down, pixel aspect. So what this is this is essentially widening the screen up for you. Instead of saying, so like down here we see vertical border, instead of it being a different border around this image, it just says pixel aspect. So what we'll do is if we hit left or right on your directional pad, you'll see how it's going to make it bigger. Now, one thing I do like about this, and I'll show you too when we get to the vertical border, is whenever you're changing the aspect here, you've got this red area around the outside that has a good contrast with the black background, so you can really see how large the screen is getting. It's easier to visualize, so you get an understanding of how it's going to be whenever you're playing the game. But you know, these were originally of like a square design, so that's what we're going to leave this at. I'm not going to go with this widescreen format, so we'll do it right around, I think here. This looks pretty good. But the point is here, you can do whatever you want. If you want to take up the whole screen, well, you can do that. So we'll go down to about here. Vertical border is the same thing. If you want to increase the border on the top and bottom of your screen, you can do that as well. I'm going to take up the whole screen here. Scan lines, if you're into scan lines and you want to see that, you've got the option to do it. I'm not going to turn them on, but if you want to, here's the option. Left side, hide, extra sprites, volume, palette. Now this is one thing I think is pretty neat here on the palette. So if you want to change the way the colors look and you want to go with like more vibrant colors or more smooth colors, you can do that here. So you just go to the palette option here and you hit left or right and you can change, and you can see down below how the colors are different depending on what you want to select. So for instance, this is the original. If you want to go for something a little bit more smooth or custom, and some of them, it really makes the colors stand out more against one another. So like the red, there's more of a contrast between the red and the orange so that it stands out a little bit more. But it really just depends on what you want to do. What we're going to do is we're going to leave it original for now just to test this out and show you guys how it works. But that's the video options, and again, the point here is it's not that you have to use any of this stuff. It's just that it's available in the event that you want to change something around to fit your specific TV or just fit you of how you like to play games. You've got that functionality, and that's what makes this great. All right, so let's get into a game here. We've got John Elway's quarterback. We'll just hop in, see how it looks and sounds. All right, so as you guys can see and hear, I think it sounds great. Everything's really clear. The image looks really good. If you look at all the lines and everything, man, it really looks nice. Whatever. I'm not sure what I'm doing here, so. Here we go, here we go. Oh! All right, made it to the 32 or something around there, yard line. Anyways, let's just focus on the way it looks. I mean, all the letters and everything, they all stand out very good. It's easy to read. The lines are very crisp and clear. And I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, so I'm getting tackled here. But yeah, everything I think looks really good. And the sound, even that click, it sounds really clear to me, at least on my TV. I think this looks pretty good. So what we'll do here is, let me get out of this. We're going to go back to our main screen. All right, so we've got Contra loaded up in the console right now. And what we're going to do, I'm going to change the video option on this one, and we're going to go to a different palette just to see how much different it looks. So this one right, let me see. This one right here, I like because each color is very pronounced. I also like this FCEUX because the reds look really good, but I'm not crazy about the way the greens look. So we're going to do this custom palette just to see what it looks like whenever we play the game. And let's get this thing rocking and rolling here. Oh yeah, here we go. So this, I mean, let's just watch it play through here without me doing anything right now. And I think the colors look really good. All the pixels are well defined. I think the sound is good. Yeah, I mean, I think this looks and sounds really well. Now let's try to play this for a second. Trying to keep from getting killed here. So much for that idea. Anyhow, yeah, I think this looks and sounds great. I mean, you guys can be your own judge of that or what you think, but I think it's doing what it's supposed to do anyway. And other than me dying here, I think it's pretty good. So again, if we focus just on the image, I mean, the sound I think is pretty good. It's very clear. And on the image, all the pixels seem to be well defined. The color separation's good. And you can play around with the colors that we just seen with the different color palettes. And I think that's nice. So I think this is a success for both of the original NES games that we just tried. Now what we're going to do is, now we're going to throw in a Famicom cartridge. This game's called Krikzz. All right, you guys, so we've got Krikzz in here. And we're going to start this thing up. Now this is an original Famicom cartridge. We're using that Famicom port that they've got installed on this console to try it out, just to see how these original Famicom games work and look and sound on here. So let's go. All right, so immediately we're just watching this play right now. The sound's very clear. And again, I think the pixels are very well defined. Now, there's a lot of straight lines, obviously, in this game, just because of the blocks and everything. But if we look at the spaceship, I think it looks very good. The separation of the colors and the pixels looks all very, very well done. So let's get into this thing. So this is a pretty fun puzzle game. It's kind of addictive. And all you're doing is trying to make these shapes into complete the shape, if you will, whether it's a rectangle or a square or whatever it may be. And as any game goes, it progressively gets harder and faster, so don't let this fool you and make you think this is an easy game, because it can get difficult really quick. And if you do like what I just did, you mess up, it throws you off a little bit, and then you got to finish up that square. But this is a fun game. It's kind of like a mix between a shooter and Tetris. I don't know if that's fair to say that or not, but something like that. But it's a fun game. It's different. I've never played another game quite like this, so I think it's pretty neat. But the gameplay is good. Just to let you guys know, I've been using this 8-bit DO controller the whole time we've been testing these games out, and it works great, no problems. The sound, I think, is coming across very clear. Everything's very smooth. I think the visuals, it looks good, at least in my opinion. Alright, that's enough of this. I'll be here all day playing around with this thing. It's a very addictive game. But you see how it works. It all sounds good, looks good. I think this is a success as well. So this is a Famicom original cartridge here that we're playing. It looks good. Now what we're going to do is, now we are going to test out our Krikzz Everdrive N8 Pro cartridge and see how it works on this thing. Alright you guys, so here we are back at the main menu again. We've got our Krikzz Everdrive N8 Pro cartridge installed into the AVS console. We're going to start this up, kind of navigate through, make sure everything works as it should, and then we will test out maybe a game or two. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to the video options, and I'm going to turn this back to the original color palette here. And you can play around with it as much as you want, maybe with different games, and see how it looks. This is one thing I will say, again, I'm not real crazy about how they did the colors on this screen as far as the selection of the item, but it works very easy. And that's the key to this kind of stuff. There's not a lot of frills in this or nothing. You just get into it and you can easily navigate to whatever area you want to go to on this menu and just jump right into it. It's very simple. All right, let's get this started. So here we are. We're at the menu of the Everdrive cartridge. Let's get into the games. So hey, it's functioning just fine, as it should. We've got our list of different games here. We'll just pick a couple games to see what's going to happen here. Let's Goonies. I always liked this game a lot as a kid, so let's do Goonies. All right. Well, sounds good. I like the colors. Man, everything, this is bringing back so much nostalgia just to, for me playing this game. I used to play it a lot. So, yeah, I think everything looks good. It sounds very good, just like it should. If you look at all the different wood panels in the background of the screen, the colors, they're not like saturated into one another. Each pixel is very well defined here, and it sounds great. At least I think so. So this is Goonies 2. I think it looks and sounds as good as it ever did, for me anyway. So let's go back to the main menu. I'm just going to hit the reset button on the console here. Now we're back at the Everdrive menu. And what do we want to play? Let's do Gradius. Oh man, this sounds great. And using these turbo buttons on the 8-bit Do controllers working fantastic. All right, so I mean, this looks and sounds great. Let's get out of here. All right, so this is Gradius. Go back to the menu again. Let's try some Mega Man. Here we go. Oh man, that sounds awesome. Let's check out all the colors. Looks very pretty. I'm a huge fan of movie and video game soundtracks, and this just sounds awesome to me. Here we go. Yeah. What are we going to do here? Metal Man? I don't know. Man, check out, everything looks really good right now. And the sound is awesome. Oh boy, oh boy. I haven't played this game in forever. Come on. Ah, damn it. Well, anyways, this is Mega Man. I think it looks and sounds good, just like it should. I'm dying. Anyhow, this is the game. I think it looks and sounds just as good as it should. Now let's go back to our main menu and talk about this for a second. So here we are back at the AVS main menu. And you know, we just played a number of different games. We played 2 original NES cartridge games, an original Famicom cartridge game, and then we played a few games on our Krikzz Everdrive N8 Pro. I will say, you know, if you're looking to do any type of a multi-cart style game for the NES or pretty much any of the older retro consoles, Krikzz does a very good job. They've got really good support for those, and it's an easy to use product. You can hit them up on their website and pick up anything you want. The shipping's pretty quick as well, so definitely, if you're looking to do something like that, I would look into their products. It's a high quality product. That having said that, as far as this AVS goes, I'm very happy with how this thing is working and playing here. And the ideal for us is, I wanted an easy way for us to be able to play this on our modern TV and be able to easily do game capture via the HDMI. The NES isn't as bad as some of like the Atari with the RF cable. I mean, there is composite out of the NES so that you can do some game capture depending on what kind of device you have. But I wanted something that was going to be easy for HDMI, and this does it. It's not crazy expensive. It's not a cheap product by any means, okay? But this is not an emulation-based system. This is FPGA, which is why we're allowed to play that Everdrive cartridge on here, and all the original games as well, whether it be Famicom or NES. The fact that it's got both ports to play either cartridge I think is great. The fact that it can play the Everdrive is good. You can use your 8-bit DOE wireless controllers on this. They work fantastic on here. No issue whatsoever. None that I've seen anyways. And the HDMI video is very clear on my TV. The sound is very good. I don't have any complaints about this thing. There's a lot of different companies that are making these kind of clone consoles, but a big majority of them are emulated, and this isn't. And that's what makes this stand out a little bit different. I really like the analog consoles that they have produced. I think that they are very high quality, and you know, it's a shame that their Nintendo console is just crazy expensive, because they do such a limited quantity run of these, and when they're sold out, they're done. And that's so those have just gotten too expensive. But honestly, if I didn't know what I was playing here, and we were to sit one down next to each other, and you were to tell me what the price is of this compared to the analog, I would just buy this. I think for the price, I think you're getting a good value for your money. It works and sounds and plays just like it should, just like you would want it to. And that's really all that you can ask out of something like this. So I think this is a win for retroUSB. Good on them to keep making this thing and making it available to the public. They've been making this for many years now. You can still go to their website and buy it today without any issues. They sell a couple other items on their website as well, in case you're interested in that. But I will put a link to everything we used here today in the description. I'll put a link to the AVS console, the Krikzz Everdrive cartridge, and the 8-bit DOE controllers, just in case you guys are interested in those. So yeah, my opinion is this is a win. It's a good working console, and I would recommend it if you're looking to do FPGA gameplay with a modern console so that you can get that HDMI out to easily play it on a modern TV or do game capture. All right, everyone, you've seen us unbox and review the AVS by retroUSB. Now, this thing works great. I didn't see any issues with it whatsoever. For the price that you're paying, I think it's definitely worth the money. You can play all those older games that you want, whether you're using some type of a multi-cart or you've got the original cartridge. The HDMI out to connect to a modern TV, do game capture, it's great. And again, this has got a good price point for what it is. The user interface is easy to use, and everything is as it should be. It's a readily available product. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in getting one of these, but you can go directly to their website and order whatever you want, whenever you want. You don't have to worry about it going out of stock. So hey, we really appreciate you guys tuning into the video, and until next time, keep gaming.